What if I told you that two investors could buy the exact same ETF, hold it for 20 years, and end up with completely different amounts of money? Same fund, same ticker, same global stocks. But one of them made a choice that quietly compounded thousands, maybe tens of thousands, of extra dollars over time. And most people never even realize they made the wrong choice. Today, we're breaking down one of the most overlooked decisions in investing: accumulating versus distributing ETFs. What they are, how they actually work under the hood, who each one is right for, and the real tax and compounding math you need to understand before you buy a single share. If this video saves you even one costly mistake, or helps you unlock years of hidden compounding you didn't know you were missing, then do me a huge favor right now and hit that like button and subscribe. It genuinely helps this channel grow and means more free financial education for everyone. All right, let's get into it. Before we get to the accumulating versus distributing debate, let's make sure we're all on the same page about what an ETF actually is, because this context is critical. An ETF, exchange traded fund, is basically a basket of assets. It might hold hundreds or even thousands of stocks, bonds, or other securities, all bundled into one single investment product that trades on a stock exchange just like a regular share. When you buy one share of, say, a global index ETF, you're instantly owning a tiny slice of Apple, Samsung, Nestle, Toyota, Microsoft, thousands of companies across dozens of countries. Instant diversification. That's the beauty of ETFs. Now here's the thing. Many of the companies inside your ETF pay dividends, regular cash payments to shareholders as a share of their profits. And this is exactly where the accumulating versus distributing split comes in. What happens to those dividends? That's the whole question. Let's start with distributing ETFs, sometimes labeled as Dist or Inc. for income, on fund platforms. With a distributing ETF, whenever the companies inside your fund pay dividends, the fund collects all of those dividends, bundles them together, and then, on a regular schedule, usually quarterly or annually, pays that cash directly out to you, into your brokerage account, as actual money. So if you own 1,000 shares of a distributing ETF and it pays a dividend yield of 2% per year, you'd receive roughly €20, pounds, or dollars per share per year in cash. Times 1,000 shares, that's around 20,000 units of currency directly in your pocket. Now that sounds amazing. Free money, passive income. Who wouldn't want that? And for some people, especially those in retirement or who need regular income to live off, distributing ETFs are genuinely the right choice. We'll talk about that. But there's a catch, and it's a big one. Every time that dividend hits your account, it is typically a taxable event. Depending on your country, you might owe capital gains tax, income tax, or dividend withholding tax on that payout immediately, even if you planned to reinvest every single penny of it. And that's where the compounding math starts to work against you. Now let's look at accumulating ETFs, usually labeled ACCI on your platform or fund fact sheet. With an accumulating ETF, the same thing happens up until a certain point. Companies pay dividends. The fund collects them. But then, instead of paying that cash out to you, the fund reinvests it automatically, immediately. It buys more of the underlying stocks on your behalf. Your share price increases to reflect this. You never see the cash. You never have to do anything. This is automatic compounding on autopilot. And it's absolutely powerful. Here's why this matters so much. When a distributing ETF pays you a dividend, you get the cash, minus tax. And then if you want to reinvest it, you have to manually go back to your brokerage, place a buy order, possibly pay transaction fees, and then get back into the market. Meanwhile, that cash sat idle for however long it took you to do that. With an accumulating ETF, the second that dividend is generated by the underlying companies, it's already back in the market, compounding, working for you. No tax event in most jurisdictions, no manual steps, no idle cash, no transaction costs. It's the financial equivalent of automatic gear shifting in a car versus having to change gears yourself. Okay, let's get into some numbers because this is where it gets real. Let's imagine two investors. We'll call them Alex and Jordan. They both invest 10,000 euros, or dollars or pounds, it doesn't matter, into the same underlying global index ETF. The fund delivers an average annual total return of 8%, including a 2% dividend yield. Alex buys the distributing version. Every year, Alex receives the 2% dividend as cash. After paying 25% dividend tax, which is roughly the rate in many European countries, Alex reinvests what's left, then gets hit with another small fee on that reinvestment, and then waits for the market to dip before buying back in. Jordan buys the accumulating version. The 2% dividend is silently reinvested inside the fund every single year. No tax, no manual steps, no delay, just pure compounding. After 30 years, here is roughly what happens. Alex's portfolio, after accounting for annual dividend tax drag and reinvestment friction, grows to approximately 76,000 euros. Jordan's accumulating ETF portfolio grows to around 100,600 euros. That's a difference of over 24,000 euros on the same 10,000 initial investment from the same underlying fund, just from the structure of how dividends were handled. Now, of course, real numbers will vary based on your specific tax jurisdiction, your exact fund, the actual market returns, and how efficiently you reinvested. But the principle holds. Tax drag and compounding friction are real, and they cost you money over time. Albert Einstein allegedly called compound interest the eighth wonder of the world. Whether or not he actually said that, the math is undeniable. The less you interrupt compounding, the more powerful it becomes. 76,000 versus Jordan ACC, 100,600 with difference text. Now, here's where I have to be very careful, so where you need to do your homework, because taxation on ETFs is not the same everywhere. In some countries, accumulating ETFs have a massive advantage because dividend reinvestment inside the fund is not treated as a taxable event. You only pay capital gains tax when you eventually sell the ETF. This is sometimes called tax deferral, and it's extremely powerful. In Germany, however, there's something called the Vorabpauschgeld, a prepayment tax on accumulating ETFs. The German tax authority assumes a minimum return on your investment each year and charges a small tax on that, even if you didn't receive any cash. So, in Germany, ACC ETFs are still generally favored, but the advantage is somewhat reduced. In Ireland, and this one often surprises people, ETFs are subject to an exit tax of 41%, and you're taxed every 8 years on unrealized gains regardless. This is called the deemed disposal rule, and it significantly changes the calculation. In the UK, using accumulating ETFs inside an ISA, an individual savings account, means all gains and dividends are completely tax-free. ACC ETFs in an ISA is one of the most powerful, tax-efficient investing strategies available to UK investors. The point? Tax rules matter. The ideal ETF structure for one person might be completely different for someone in another country. Please, please, please look up the specific tax treatment in your jurisdiction, or consult a qualified tax advisor before making this decision. What I can tell you is the principle. Wherever you can legally defer or eliminate dividend tax, accumulating ETFs generally give you a compounding edge. Okay, so far it might sound like accumulating ETFs are always better, but that's not true. Distributing ETFs genuinely are the right choice for a lot of people. Let me be clear about who that is. If you are retired or approaching retirement and you need your portfolio to generate regular income to cover your living expenses, a distributing ETF is absolutely worth considering. You need the cash. You can't wait to sell shares. Regular dividends fill that gap. If you're in a zero or very low tax bracket for dividend income in your country, the tax drag on distributions is minimal, so the main argument against distributing ETFs is weakened significantly. If you're investing through a tax-sheltered account, like certain pension wrappers in the UK, Netherlands, or elsewhere, where dividends aren't taxed anyway, then the structural advantage of accumulating is reduced. If you want the psychological benefit of seeing real cash arrive in your account, maybe that cash dividend hits keeps you disciplined, keeps you invested, stops you from panic selling in a crash, then the behavioral finance argument for distributing ETFs is real. Investing is also personal. There is value in a strategy you will actually stick to. A distributing ETF you hold for 30 years beats an accumulating ETF you panic sell the first time the market drops 20%. Let me give you a clean side-by-side comparison so you can screenshot this, save it, and come back to it whenever you need to. So how do you actually know if an ETF is accumulating or distributing when you're looking at your broker's platform? Most fund providers will label this directly in the fund name. Look for the words AC, accumulation, reinvestment, or C at the end of the fund name. For distributing funds, look for Dist, distribution, Inc., income, or D. You can also check the fund's KIID. That's the Key Investor Information Document. It's a short, standardized document every ETF in Europe is required to have. It will clearly state how dividends are treated. On platforms like Vanguard, iShares by BlackRock, Xtrackers, and HSBC, most ETFs come in both variants. The tickers will often differ slightly, so look carefully. One more tip, the ISIN, the International Securities Identification Number, is unique to each share class. An AXI and a Dist version of the same fund will have different ISINs, even if the underlying index they track is identical. Use the ISIN to make sure you're buying exactly what you intend. So, which is better, accumulating or distributing? My take, and remember, this is not financial advice, always do your own research, is this. If you are in the wealth-building phase of your life, if you are young or working, if you have decades ahead of you, if you don't need income from your portfolio right now, an accumulating ETF is almost certainly going to work harder for your money. The compounding is automatic, the tax drag is minimized. The results, over 20 or 30 years, can be dramatically better. If you are in the wealth spending phase of your life, if you are retired or close to it, if you need your investments to generate regular cash to live off, a distributing ETF fills that role elegantly. And of course, check your country's specific tax treatment, because in some places, the rules change the math in ways that might surprise you. The most important thing, know which type you own, understand why you own it, and make sure it aligns with your actual goal. Investing isn't about picking the trendy choice. It's about building a strategy that fits your life, your taxes, and your timeline, and then staying the course through the inevitable ups and downs of markets. If this breakdown helped you understand something that took you from confused to clear, I'd really appreciate it if you hit that like button. It takes 2 seconds. It costs you nothing, and it genuinely helps this content reach more people who need it. And if you're new here and you want more clear, jargon-free videos on investing, personal finance, and building long-term wealth, hit subscribe and ring that notification bell so you never miss a new video. I put a massive amount of work into every single video on this channel because I believe financial education should be free, accessible, and actually useful. Your support makes that possible. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.